What's up, everybody? This will be part 2 in a series where we're taking you on a step-by-step guide into finding the perfect fixer-upper. In step 1, we work through what I would consider is the most important step in taking before you jump into the search, and that is defining your budget and determining financing. So if you still need to learn more about that portion, head back and check that video out, which I'll link in the description below. Today we're gonna get to the fun stuff, which is actually spotting the perfect fixer-upper. I thought it'd be kind of fun to explore some scenarios in which my actual clients found some great fixer-uppers to give you a better idea of what you need to be looking for. Scenario 1 was a cute, tiny little townhome that some of my clients found a few years back in the bustling suburb of Cary. The price tag for this was pretty low, but the location was phenomenal. They spent a few years working within their means to upgrade the kitchen with some open shelving and some new countertops, upgrade fixtures like the door handles and lighting, and then also to renovate both of the bathrooms. They can't change the footprint, which was tiny, but they were able to create a ton of equity for themselves by upgrading what was there. And they were able to sell it only a few years later and take a ton of cash with them onto their next home. Scenario 2 was actually 2 different homes that were in the same neighborhood of this beautiful hidden lake community in Raleigh. Only 10 minutes from downtown Raleigh, these properties were massively undervalued for their potential. Both of my clients were able to snag them for an amazing price, and they're slowly bringing them back to life as they live there. They do have some age factors to be concerned about with this old of a home, and yet the simple things they're doing to update it are creating massive amounts of equity already. One of my clients pulled a line of credit on their home only a year or so after purchasing. And after making just a few minor updates, they'd already added over $100,000 of equity to their value. They could then pull from that in order to finance a huge kitchen renovation and a master bathroom renovation. Scenario 3, and a very personal one to me, is our own home right now. I knew this home was going to be a fixer-upper when we spotted it, but I also knew the upgrades were very doable and within our means. It had a recently replaced roof, which was a great perk. It had several cosmetic update needs that were things I could knock out myself, like tiling, flooring, painting. Plus, there were a few updates that I could easily hire out to a professional to complete. It had the spaces our family needed to grow into, it had an awesome yard, and it was right on a cul-de-sac. I show you these 3 different scenarios so that you can see fixer-uppers come in all shapes and sizes. And ultimately, you'll need to pick based on your budget, your abilities, and the functionality for your family's needs. There are quite a few other scenarios I could bring up that are being lived out right now by my clients who found the perfect home in a great location and are fixing it up to create massive equity. They will be the beneficiaries of taking a house that was priced lower because of its need for updates, and then taking the time to build that equity into it themselves. Here's 3 super essential things to be looking for if you're searching for a fixer-upper. Number 1, location. This is the one thing you cannot modify about a house, and yet will probably be one of the biggest factors that affects your return. Finding a home that needs updates, but is also in an ultra desirable location is a quick way to maximize your return. Even if that means you have to focus your search on smaller options that are more affordable, or things like townhomes or condos. Also, keep an eye out for comparable fixer-uppers close by. Finding a market where these types of homes are already selling will ensure that you can gain equity quickly. Number 2 is good bones. It's one thing to notice a bunch of cosmetic upgrades you can change about a house, but a completely different thing to have to shell out for major system updates and deferred maintenance items. Finding a home that has recent updates to major systems like the roof, the HVAC, plumbing, siding, crawl space, those will absolutely save you a ton of cash. These are expensive updates that often don't create a lot of return for you on your investment. Plus, if there's a lot of deferred maintenance on the home when you see it, the odds of there being further issues behind the walls or underneath where the foundation is are much higher. Number 3, renovations that are feasible for your needs and your budget. Be realistic with yourself as you step into a potential option. Can you do these renovations while living there? Are the scale of these renovations even possible? Or are there going to be a lot of unknowns that need to be addressed, like structural concerns, permitting, etc.? It's better to lose an option to the competition than to jump into something without being fully aware of what type of hurdles you may be up against. Perfect example is every time I'm walking through a house and a client goes, "Oh, we can just blow this wall out." But a lot of times they aren't thinking about the implications that go along with a big change like this. Is there going to be structural needs, permitting, electrical, plumbing? All these things become really expensive. Case in point, one of the updates we did on our house when we moved in was to add 2 windows to an exterior wall in our living space. Looking at it, you would just think, easy, cut some holes, install the window, and voila. But of course, then we realized that the water heater was too high on the wall in order to install the window at the height we wanted it to on one side, and on the other side there was a bunch of electrical wiring running up the wall that we'd have to move in order to get the window in the perfect spot. Eventually we got it to work, but this could have been one of those things where we bought the house thinking it's totally possible, only to find out later that the renovation we thought would work is not possible and it's too late. All right, I'll give you one bonus tip. Ask yourself, is it livable in its current state if the renovations you had in mind aren't possible right away? This is an important one to ask if you're working with a limited budget. What happens if you have to scale back on the renovation budget? Or maybe the cost is way higher than you expected because of some unknowns that you just could not have predicted. Preparing for that potential setback by being sure the home is livable in its current condition will help you avoid mega buyer's remorse on the other side. Remember, this doesn't have to be a quick turnaround. Just like in some of those scenarios I shared earlier, these folks are spending years making these updates to their fixer-upper. And you can still make massive equity over time if you just keep ticking away at those projects. If all of these essentials line up that I just mentioned, then you know you have an excellent fixer-upper and you should totally go for it. There's a crazy amount of profit potential here if you're wise about the choice that you make. So let's roll up our sleeves and start investigating some great options for you. I'm absolutely here for you if you're ready to jump in and start looking for your fixer-upper. My information is down in the description below. Please reach out. Next time, to complete our fixer-upper series, we'll close the loop and we'll talk about the best updates to maximize your return and how to sell your fixer-upper to make sure you get the highest price. Stay tuned for that last part coming in just a few weeks. That's it for this one. Have a great day, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.